The lethality of their power is greater than ever. Their capacity to impose control over the politically awakened masses of the world is at a historical low. In earlier times, it was easier to control a million people than physically to kill a million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill a million people than to control a million people.
I'm concerned about, obviously, the financial problems that are going on in Europe. In Cyprus, of course, the banks open and all the wealthy people, they took more of the wealth away. This is part of the plan. It's a deindustrialization, a leveling of the economy of the have and have-nots, serfdom. It's neo-feudalism. And growing up and then going into the workforce, with the exception of working for Prudential Insurance, who, again, at the time they were a mutual insurance company, where they, quote-unquote, the policyholders owned it, but the organization was extremely corrupt. I left Prudential Insurance just after it was demutualized and became a stock company. And at that time, they covered all of my benefits. Health insurance has become my most expensive cost through the years, and it's to the point where now $15,000 for a family plan is with like $10,000 deductibles. There's all sorts of insane pricings. And of course, Obamacare is going to make this worse. Sebelius went out and actually had to admit it. Her remarks come weeks before insurers are expected to begin releasing rates. Insurance premiums are rising because the president's health care insurance takeover is being put into place. These folks will be moving into a really fully insured product for the first time, and so there will be that market, she said. But we feel pretty strongly that with the subsidies available to a lot of people, people are going to see much benefit for the money that they're spending. Oh, my God. It's just criminal. It's just horrible. Again, Obamacare needs to be repealed. This whole socialist program, socialism being put into place, forced. I mean, they're fining you if you don't buy insurance. I mean, that's communism. It's worse. I don't know what it is. It's a tyranny. It's tyranny. I just can't believe this is what's going on. Now, the Obama administration challenged the design of the study, saying it focused only on one-pie strategies of the law, such as tax credits to help people afford premiums and special outsized share of the sick. Well, I tell you, the whole thing is just a mess. It's getting into Nazi eugenicist type Orwellian realm. When the communists infiltrated the arts in Germany, they created such a deterioration in public decency that ordinary people called for someone to do something. The documentary seen on television today, where Hitler is shown visiting art exhibits, tells us that the Nazi idea of art was controlling and stifling of free expression. This was a result of a backlash among the people against what the communists had done to German arts. Hitler used this, as well as other aspects of the breakdown of the public weal, to establish his dictatorship. There's also an example given in George Orwell's book 1984. In it, he expresses the ultimate aim of the insiders to control even the sex lives of the people through the Anti-Sex League. Since population control is a major feature of the satanic desires of the insiders, this fictional treatise is not far removed from reality. Communist China is fast approaching this end with its one-child-per-family policy, one child, that is, for the approved couple. This policy has now entered the thinking of those who are pushing for sustainable development as a form of population control in the United States. You know, we're getting into the situation where they want to keep our records from our eyes, forcing us to buy health insurance, vaccinating children, testing vaccines for anthrax on children as young as infants. It's just outrageous. Top that off, we got college graduates maybe stuck in low-skill jobs. So you got a degree, you're bright, you're intelligent, and of course, you're in a low-skilled job because that's all that there is. Underemployment, skilled workers doing jobs that don't require their level of education, has been one of the hallmarks of the slow recovery. It's just an ongoing depression. By some measures, nearly half of the unemployed college graduates are in jobs that don't traditionally require a college degree. Of course not. The CDC is now saying, now everyone, again, in college, you're going to get your condoms because it appears that a third of the American population, 1/3 of the American population, 110,197,000 people have venereal infections, creating new STDs faster than new jobs or college graduates. So again, it's a decline in society, a decline in our morality. I mean, look at this. Victoria's Secrets is now putting out a new lingerie line for tweens. You know, people that are in between, you know, like 12, 13-year-old kids. How about you get your daughter, your 12-year-old daughter, a recent marketing campaign dubbed Bright Young Things included a line of thongs bearing slogans like I dare you, wild, and feeling lucky. This is just, again, the descent into immorality, going away from God or a higher power or the efforts of good. We have 18-year-old people here in Torrington, Connecticut, these two animals that attacked the 13-year-old girl, and then the people are in this town, the kids are defending the attackers because they're popular. I mean, this is a serious problem we have in our society, and it's due to a lack of moral compass, a loss of moral compass. And, you know, that added with this decline in the economy, everything is just falling into place for this order out of chaos, the rise of the New World Order, and it's frightening. You have the Homeland Security is buying tanks and rounds, and what's going on? What are they planning? Monsanto is now in control. I reported yesterday, I can't believe it, Monsanto is in control now. They passed the Monsanto Protection Act, so the farmers that are going to be under Monsanto's tyranny, they're not going to be able to take recourse. It's unbelievable what's going on, and nobody's paying attention. They were all talking about this debate about gay marriage. Again, another. I mean, I don't want to sound unsympathetic. You know, I believe everybody has a right to live their lives the way they want, and I believe honestly that all people that are gay, they have a right to live. They'll do what they want to do, not as long as they don't infringe upon my rights. And they should have all the benefits of a spouse if they want to get a union. But you call it a civil union, like when you don't get married in a church, because what church is going to marry you? You're going to make it so that religion now accepts gay marriage too. It's going to get to this insane turning point where there's a rise in this, and all of the fact that there, you know, the lack of I keep going, the right word is morality. I don't know what other word to use. Promiscuousness. You know, it's a big problem. And at the same time, now look what's going on in this country. You have groups of adults who turn to cooperative housing to save money. Cooperative housing. They don't even know these people. They're going to live with them because they have to share expenses to survive. I mean, this is our economy. This is the abomination. Here we are. It's just unreal. Now, a closing thought here about what's going on. We have Sexuality Information and Education Council of the United States, which was set up in the 60s and 70s, late 60s, early 70s, as the primary organization behind sex education in the schools, and its attitude that freedom must include promiscuity, and it promoted the idea that even the information about sex was needed, especially by youngsters. Now, we assume that communists and other radical socialists are still fostering the decline of morality in our country. But we do not have the advantage that we had in the 1960s when our government investigated domestic communist organizations and identified them and their key members. Without someone in the inside of such organizations, it's difficult to best be able to name someone who is a member of the Communist Party unless he publicly admits such a connection or is identified as such in a communist publication. But it isn't difficult to identify a promoter of moral degradation, communist or not. Consider this. Recall the fact that John Adams stated, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." So, that is the fact. Whatever the religion is, even if it's the belief in you have to believe something's created you. You can't just think you came out of thin air. Whatever that higher power is in your life, okay, gave you the rights, inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But that doesn't mean that you can change morality to the point of degradation and tyranny and evil. That's what this whole concept is. It doesn't work. The republic will fall into decay like Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, it really is like that. Morality must be taken into account when it comes to liberty. Too many of the young, along with the recently awakened, who have come to be supporters of the movement here for freedom, will ask, whose morality? And generally speaking, the answer is the morality that we know to be of the quote-unquote Judeo-Christian faith. That's what the Constitution and the Founding Fathers were. They were Christians. I mean, you can't change that. That is the founding principle. It doesn't mean that it says all religions you have a right to worship any religion you want. But you can't change the founding principles of the nation. That's not what it's about. And that's morality. I mean, you can practice your own religion, but the moral principles relate to our way of life, and that's why we thrived. But there's these evil, insane Luciferian scum are bringing in the New World Order, and we have to fight them any way we can. Things are changing very fast. I think Thomas Jefferson said it best. Liberty requires constant vigilance. We must be vigilant. We must wake people up to what's going on. Understand what's going on. Listen to what I'm telling you. Don't believe it. Find your own truth. Seek it. Research every word I say. Thank you for watching Truth Talk News. I'm Howard Nima.
The lethality of their power is greater than ever. Their capacity to impose control over the politically awakened masses of the world is at a historical low. In earlier times, it was easier to control a million people than physically to kill a million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill a million people than to control a million people.
Concerned about, obviously, the financial problems that are going on in Europe. In Cyprus, of course, the banks open and all the wealthy people, they took more of the wealth away. This is part of the plan. It's a deindustrialization, a leveling of the economy of the have and have-nots, serfdom. It's neo-feudalism. And growing up and then going into the workforce, with the exception of working for Prudential Insurance, who, again, at the time they were a mutual insurance company, where they, quote-unquote, the policyholders owned it, but the organization was extremely corrupt. I left Prudential Insurance just after it was demutualized and became a stock company. And at that time, they covered all of my benefits. Health insurance has become my most expensive cost through the years, and it's to the point where now $15,000 for a family plan is with